Hello everyone. Let's start with our third and final lecture on hypertension. Today, first we will look at etiology and pathogenesis of secondary hypertension. As you know, earlier we have already looked at etiology and pathogenesis of primary hypertension. So now today we will cover about secondary hypertension. So based on etiology and pathogenesis of secondary hypertension is described under four headings. Those are renal hypertension, endocrine hypertension, hypertension associated with coarctation of aorta, and neurogenic causes. So these are four different categories which cause hypertension, and based on this we will describe them one by one. So first one is renal hypertension. So obviously from the name you can say that renal hypertension is produced by renal diseases, that is diseases of kidney, and it is called as renal hypertension. And it is subdivided into two groups. First one is renal vascular hypertension, and second one is renal parenchymal hypertension. So what is renal vascular hypertension? It is high blood pressure due to narrowing of the arteries that carry blood to kidneys. So obviously the name says renal vascular hypertension, so it is associated with blood vessels or arteries that carry blood to kidneys, and if they are narrowed, as you already know that a narrowing of artery will result in increased blood pressure. So this is caused by narrowing of the arteries, and which arteries? Those arteries that carry blood to kidneys. So what is the mechanism here? As due to narrowing of the arteries, kidneys don't get enough blood, so they react by making a hormone that makes the blood pressure rise. Why they produce hormone that makes blood pressure rise? Because kidneys are not getting enough blood. So in their attempt to get more blood, they increase blood pressure so that they can get more blood, and this hormone will cause rise in blood pressure. Examples of the diseases in which this happens is occlusion of major renal artery, preeclampsia, eclampsia, polyarteritis, polyarteritis nodosa, and fibromuscular dysplasia of renal artery. All these diseases can cause release of that hormone, and that will result in increased blood pressure. We will learn about that hormone later in detail. Here just remember this point that if kidneys are not getting enough blood due to narrowing of artery, they release a hormone which increases blood pressure in an attempt to get enough blood. So this was first subdivision, that is renal vascular hypertension. Now we will look at renal parenchymal hypertension. So what is renal parenchymal hypertension? It is hypertension due to damage to parenchyma of kidney. Parenchyma are functional tissues of an organ, that is called as parenchyma. So if functional tissues of kidneys are damaged, then it will cause renal parenchymal hypertension. And in which diseases this damage occurs? The examples are glomerulonephritis, pyelonephritis, interstitial nephritis, diabetic nephropathy, amyloidosis, polycystic kidney disease, and renin producing tumors. So all these diseases can cause damage to parenchyma of kidney, that is functional tissues of kidney, and as a result it will cause hypertension. So in both above cases, renal hypertension can be produced by one of the following three interrelated pathogenetic mechanism. So in both renal vascular hypertension and renal parenchymal hypertension, there are three mechanisms proposed which can cause hypertension, and they are not separate, they are interrelated. That means they work with one another to produce hypertension. So first one is activation of renin angiotensin system. This is the hormone we were talking about earlier. Renin is an enzyme secreted by kidney and it is released due to various causes, like if blood supply to kidney is reduced. So renin is secreted by kidney, and when it is secreted when blood supply to kidney is reduced. And when blood supply will be reduced, it will be reduced when arteries will be narrowed. Okay. And after release from kidney, this renin reaches liver and acts upon angiotensinogen. So renin is released from kidney. From kidney it travels in the blood to liver, and in liver it acts upon angiotensinogen. And what is the effect of this action? The effect is that angiotensinogen forms angiotensin 1. Then further angiotensin 1 is converted to angiotensin 2, and this angiotensin 2 is a potent vasoconstrictor. So vasoconstrictor means that causes constriction of vessels. So obviously constriction of vessels will cause blood pressure to rise. So this is a sequence that kidney releases renin goes to liver, and in liver it acts upon angiotensinogen, due to which angiotensinogen is converted to angiotensin 1, and angiotensin 1 is converted then to angiotensin 2, and this angiotensin 2 is causes vasoconstriction, and this vasoconstriction causes increase in blood pressure. So this is the mechanism, and this whole system or process is called as renin angiotensin system. So this was first mechanism. Second one is sodium and water retention. Sodium causes water retention, and water retention causes increase in blood volume, which leads to hypertension. And so sodium, due to some process osmosis, it causes retention of water, and obviously if water is retained, then blood volume will be increased, and this increased blood volume will result in increased blood pressure. So from this we can say that level of sodium in blood is very important. It should be maintained in normal range, and this level of sodium in blood is maintained by kidneys. And if kidneys are not functioning properly, then sodium retention will occur, which will cause water retention, and which will cause increased blood pressure. So this is second mechanism. Now coming to third mechanism, that is release of vasodepressor materials. So a number of vasodepressor materials and antihypertensives counterbalance the vasopressor effect of angiotensin 2. So there are some materials which are released from kidney, and they cause vasodepression, and they have antihypertensive effect. So their release is necessary to counter the effects of angiotensin 2. These substances are prostaglandins, urinary kallikrein kinin system, and platelet activating factors. So just remember these names, and they work as antihypertensives. So when there are enough quantity is not secreted from kidney, they can they do not function properly, and that will cause increase in blood pressure. So these are three mechanisms associated with kidney which can cause increase in blood pressure. So this was about kidney. Now coming to second type, that is endocrine hypertension. So a number of hormones may produce secondary hypertension, such as hormones from adrenal gland, parathyroid gland, and oral contraceptives. So these hormones or these glands secrete hormones which cause hypertension, and so this is called as endocrine hypertension. Now third one is coarctation of aorta. What is coarctation of aorta? It means part of aorta is narrower than normal. So obviously if it is narrower, then blood pressure will be increased, and it causes systolic hypertension in the upper part of the body due to constriction itself. Obviously this is clear that if there is narrowing of the artery, then it will cause increase in blood pressure. And diastolic hypertension is result from changes in circulation. So the diastolic pressure is increased not due to this constriction but due to some changes in circulation. So this is the third cause of secondary hypertension. Now fourth and final cause, that is neurogenic. So neurogenic means associated with nervous system. So there are some causes associated with nervous system which can cause hypertension. Those are psychogenic causes, polyneuritis, increased intracranial pressure, and section of spinal cord are all uncommon causes of secondary hypertension. So these are neurogenic causes are rare, they are uncommon, but you have to remember them. Those are psychogenic, polyneuritis, increased intracranial pressure, and section of spinal cord. Section means cutting or injury, or that is section means cutting or injury. So injury to spinal cord will may result in hypertension. So this is etiology and pathogenesis of secondary hypertension. Now we will look at effects of hypertension. How does hypertension affect our body? So first of all, remember that systemic hypertension causes major effects in three main organs. Those are heart and blood vessels. Second one is nervous system. Third one is kidneys. So how does it affects heart and blood vessels? Mainly there are three type of diseases. Those are hypertensive heart disease, then hypertensive retinopathy, then hypertensive arteriosclerosis. And how does it affect nervous system? It affects nervous system by brain hemorrhage. How does it affect kidneys? By benign nephrosclerosis and by causing benign nephrosclerosis and malignant nephrosclerosis. Now we will look at these effects one by one. Just a short introduction. First one is hypertensive heart disease. What does this mean? This means diseases of heart resulting from systemic hypertension of prolonged duration. So if systemic hypertension is from some time for prolonged duration, it will cause disease of heart that will be called as hypertensive heart disease. And how does it manifest? That is how does it occur? You can see that it manifests by left ventricular hypertrophy or LVH. So this is hypertensive heart disease. Then next point in heart disease due to hypertension is hypertensive retinopathy. Hypertensive retinopathy is retinal vascular damage caused by hypertension. In this, the blood vessels in retina of the eye are damaged due to hypertension. This is called as hypertensive retinopathy. Then third and last in cardiac effect is hypertensive arteriosclerosis, that is narrowing and hardening of arteries due to hypertension. Then next one is brain hemorrhage. It comes under effects on nervous system, and brain hemorrhage may result in paralysis, visual disturbances, loss of speech, loss of consciousness, coma, disorientation, convulsion, loss of memory, loss of basic social behavior, and lack of personal hygiene. These all are effects of brain hemorrhage. It depends upon which area of the brain is affected and how much hemorrhage has occurred. And last one is effects of hypertension on kidney. So it affects the kidney by two ways: benign nephrosclerosis and malignant nephrosclerosis. So what is nephrosclerosis? It is hardening of the walls of the small arteries and arterioles of the kidney. That is nephrosclerosis. And if it what is the meaning of benign nephrosclerosis? Benign nephrosclerosis, it occurs in benign phase of hypertension, and malignant nephrosclerosis occurs in malignant phase of hypertension. As already you know that hypertension is classified as either benign or malignant. So if hypertension is benign and it causes nephrosclerosis in kidney, then it will be called as benign nephrosclerosis. And if hypertension is malignant and it causes nephrosclerosis, then it will be termed as malignant nephrosclerosis. So this is all about hypertension, and I hope that you have enjoyed and understood this lecture. And if anything is not clear, you can ask in comment section. Thank you guys.